Hello, I'm back. I apologize about having to stop the video before my neighbor is still not done weed whacking, as you can probably hear. So I wound up figuring I would make this into two parts and just continuing to talk over his rudeness. So I just finished row 13 on here. I am going on to the 14th row, and I figured I would wait and do that with you. So row 14. Alright, and row 14 has to be done with like perfection. Row 1 and row 14 are the two most important rows of this entire pattern. Rows 2 to 13, they can come out as crappy as possible. It really does not matter as long as they're not too crappy. But row 1 and row 14 need to be perfect because they get sewn together at the end. And if you cannot get them the way that you need them, then it won't sew together right, and you'll wind up with a gaping hole in your project, and you don't want that. Okay, so now I just finished knitting over. So we just got done with row 14. So now I'm going to cut about a 12-inch tail. Really doesn't matter how long, as long as you know you got enough. So I cut off the yarn. So now I have about a 12-inch working yarn. So now I'm going to take my yarn needle, and I'm going to put both the cotton yarn and the scrubby yarn through. Now this is why I like the needle with the giant hole at the top, because especially with the scrubby yarn, it's got all the extra little fuzzies hanging off the side like this. It can be hard to string it sometimes. And now what you do from the bottom, on the last peg that you just knitted, you go up. And now you can pull it off of the peg. Sometimes with this one you might need to use your hook, because the first one's always the hardest one. And keep going. Just go from peg to peg. Go under, pull through, pull the loop off. And even if you start pulling the yarn, like if you feel like you're pulling it too tight, it is not going to be too tight. Because, like I said, it's going to be scrunched together at the end and knitted together at the end. So you will be fine. You're basically making like a little E-wrapped hat. We're halfway knitted off. Almost done. Love these colors together. So bright and so fun. Like it's always like nice to have something fun, like in your kitchen or in the shower. Which, by the way, you can use these in the kitchen. The scrubby yarn is harsh enough where it will clean dishes, but you can also use it in the shower because the scrubby yarn is also soft enough where it will not scratch up your skin. Alright, say goodbye to the loom. Alright, don't take your yarn needle off yet, but pull the string in as if you're binding off like on a hat, as if you're closing up the hat. So you should now have like a little hat. Don't pull it too tight or your yarn will break. Even if you got like a little tiny, tiny hole, like I have like a small one right here, it doesn't matter. It'll all be like hidden in the end. Alright, so that's tied tight enough. Now you flip it inside out. And I always like to start like right here. This is where on my hand right here, this is where my slip knot is. And I like to start here just because it tells me like where I already started knitting and not to keep on going. So this is what you have to do. Take your needle and go through the first loop. This is why row number 1 was important to do right. And you pull it so that, see how it's starting to flatten? You want it to flatten out. I like to do more than one at a time. I like to do like around 2 or 3 at a time. So I'm sticking the yarn needle through. See how I stuck it through these 3? And I'm just pulling and pulling and pulling. I'm not letting this extra slip knot yarn, the non-working yarn, I'm not letting that get in the way. And I'm not trying to hide it either, because at the end I like to tie it with that yarn. Just gonna keep on going. Here we go. Almost done. This is one of my favorite parts, is just, for some reason, is sewing it together in the end. Because I'm not good at seaming stuff together. But this is like one thing I can freaking do. So it's nice. It's easy to find that first row. And I never usually have a good time finding the rows I need to find. By far, this is my most favorite thing to loom knit. Love it. They make great gifts. People always want them too. Alright, just making sure I got every loop. 2 more to go. Alright, now we got that through. So now I'm going to take the non-working yarn and the working yarn, and I'm going to tie them together. Now you can get rid of the yarn needle. I just let mine fall off like that, usually. And now I like to double knot it, because this is going to go through the washing machine. It can go right in with normal, like regular everyday laundry. But one thing is the cotton yarn does fade over time. So just have a heads up for that. People will get them from you as a gift or whatever. Alright, now I'm cutting the extra yarn. But yeah, this can go in regular wash. Doesn't have to be hand washed or anything. Alright, now I'm just going to take the shape that I wanted to take. And voila. There's my scrubby. And it doesn't matter which one's front or back. I'll call this the front for me. It's whatever side looks better to me is what the front is. But here you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks.